Hi guys. So today when we're reading, we're not going to look for direct and indirect characterization. Instead, we are going to kind of quickly read the nun, the monk, and the friar. All three of these characters specifically looking at what Chaucer could be saying about the individual in terms of the religious status that they hold. So the nun, the monk, and the friar are all part of the church. So they work for the church, they get paid from the church, they are supposed to be there to serve God and serve their community, serve the individuals of their church. And during this time, the Middle Ages was suffering from lots of corruption inside of the Catholic Church. So Chaucer wrote this to have not just a snapshot of medieval society, right, but also to kind of point out some of the flaws that he was seeing within the Catholic Church. So as we read through the nun, the monk, and the friar, we're going to specifically be highlighting things that we think Chaucer is pointing out as positive, ironic, kind of satirical, maybe like making fun of, or trying to bring attention to in terms of these characters and their position with the Catholic Church. Another thing we're going to be looking at while we're kind of annotating, or I guess before we're annotating, is how to use AI in a more beneficial way than just like, I'm going to ask AI to write this paragraph for me because like, we're not stupid. We're going to know that you used AI. Even if you switch some of the words up, like we're still going to know, right? So what I'm going to show you is how I would use AI kind of as a thought partner. You're going to be writing about the nun, the monk, and the friar this week. So before I start reading, I could read this just like off the dome and take notes. But first, we're going to start by sharing with ChatGPT what information we already know. I see lots of people when they go to use ChatGPT, they're not giving it enough information to properly kick out exactly what somebody needs for a prompt, whether it's for like marketing or social media, writing a freaking essay with you. Like you can definitely use it as a tool. You just have to get better at prompting it to give information that's beneficial and helps you think deeper or think better instead of thinking none at all and just copy and pasting, because that's where it gets dumb, right? So let me click over to ChatGPT, and first thing we're going to do is explain what we are reading and what we're going to be writing about this week. So I'm going to go ahead and say I am in 12th grade and have to read the Canterbury Tales in English class. I spelled English wrong. I know that Chaucer is writing this to give us a snapshot of early medieval society, and that he specifically is pointing out flaws in the Catholic Church because of the corruption. I'm not going to fix any of these typos in ChatGPT because it's going to fix it for me. It knows what I'm saying, even though I'm typoing. So before I annotate the nun, the monk, and the friar, how should a person of this religious status act? Break it down to me like I am a 5th grader. And let's see what ChatGPT tells us. So let's break it down in a simple way. In the Canterbury Tales, Chaucer is writing about people who are supposed to be religious, like monks, nuns, and friars. These people were supposed to live by high moral standards and focus on spiritual things like helping others follow God's teachings. Okay. So now the first one we're reading is right here, the nun. So let's read the nun first. The nun or a prioress. A nun is somebody who takes vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience and is supposed to dedicate her life to God. The ideal nun is humble, kind, and caring, always focused on prayer and helping others. But Chaucer's nun is a little different. She's described as being very proper, cares a lot about her appearance, and is very concerned with status and manners. Her actions seem more about outward appearances than inner piety or devotion to God, which makes her seem less authentic. So when we're reading this, we can already know, because ChatGPT kind of helped us out and gave us a hint, that the nun is a little different, right? So if we're going to be writing about Chaucer critiquing the time period, we're going to already be going into our annotations looking for stuff that points out that the nun is proper, she cares about her appearance, and is concerned with manners. Her actions seem about outward appearance instead of devotion to God. So when we go to read the nun, we're going to specifically be looking in here for stuff that shows that she maybe cares about her looks, or shows that she's obsessed with manners and looking so prim and proper, like a nice lady, right? Instead of us being oh, where is her praying to God, right? We're going to be already knowing what we are looking for because we asked ChatGPT to kind of help us. So up here by the nun, let's go ahead and put a star, and let's go ahead and put the AI told us. She's different. She cares about looks, manners, and more about the outside appearance. So how people look at her, judge her, think about her, instead of serving God. More about the outside appearance than serving God. So when we're reading, we're going to specifically be looking for these things, the stuff that we already know AI has pointed out to us that is different about her. So when we read, we're not going to have to be oh God, what's so different about this lady? We already know. So instead of using this to write our whole freaking paragraph, we're just using it to tell us what we are looking for to make our annotations faster. And then let's scroll down, and it says, how should religious people act? The nun should be focused on spiritual life, not social statuses or appearances. Let's come over here and add, she should be focused on serving God, not what people think about her. Not what people think. Okay. So we already have all of these notes, and we haven't even started just from using ChatGPT as a thought partner. Not saying, ChatGPT, write me a paragraph telling me why the nun is or is not a lady of God. Because if we had not done this first, doing the thought partnership with ChatGPT and telling ChatGPT, hey, I already know that the nun and the monk and the friar are religious characters, and that Chaucer is poking fun at the time period. If you just would have told ChatGPT, I'm reading the Canterbury Tales, write me one paragraph about how the nun is a religious person, it would have given us information. I literally already did this earlier. It would have given us information trying to prove that the nun is a good religious person, because ChatGPT was thinking, oh, a nun, yeah, she's a good lady. And if you copied this and pasted it into ChatGPT, still ChatGPT is going to use this and say, oh, well, she smiles very simple and coy. That is nice, like a nun. So we had to use it as a thought partner to dig out the part that she's obsessed with manners and looking good to people, or ChatGPT naturally would have taken this and given us what we asked for, which is write about the nun being a good religious character, right? So now as we're reading, we're going to highlight, ding, 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 for this stuff, pointing out her differences, okay? So, bada bing, bada boom. There also was a nun, a prioress. Her way of smiling was very simple and coy. Her greatest oath was only by St. Loy. I'm going to highlight her way of smiling was very simple and coy, because coy kind of means shy and cutesy, kind of right? That's the vibe I'm getting. And she was known as Madame Eglantine. This is her actual name. And well she sang in service with a fine intoning through her nose, as was mostly seemly, and she spoke daintily in French extremely. After the school of Stratford Abeau, French in the Paris style she did not know. She speaks French, but not French in the Paris style. So we could say that she cares about the outside appearance because she learned French kind of like as a flex, but not like the true French. So she learned it just to look good. And then it also says that she like cares about her manners and is like obsessed with like looking like she has it all together. So at meat, her manners were well taught withal. Here goes. I'm gonna find another color. Do I have another color? Oh my god, I don't. That's so annoying. Okay. You can use one color if you want. It just gets messy for me if I'm like only using one. So now they're talking about her manners. At meat, her manners were well taught withal. No morsel from her lips did she let fall, nor dipped her fingers in the sauce too deep. But she could carry a morsel up and keep the smallest drop from falling on her breast. So this is saying that she literally has like perfect manners. She has well-taught manners. She doesn't let anything drop off her lips or fall when she's eating. If she dips her fingers in sauce, she doesn't do it too deep so she doesn't get her fingers dirty. She just does a little like, right? So manners, obsessed, so she looks good. From courtliness, she had a special zest. She would wipe her upper lip so clean that not a trace of grease was to be seen. So again, this is her caring about her looks so perfectly. So we'll just put an arrow because it's still doing that. She certainly was very entertaining. I feel like that's a red flag, and ChatGPT didn't even necessarily directly say this one. But if you're a nun, pleasant and friendly in her ways, straining to a counterfeit a courtly grace. Okay. So first things, she certainly was very entertaining. It's okay to be entertaining, but like, why are you trying to be the center of attention, right? So like, I'm going to put like a flag. This is a red flag. Out here trying to entertain everybody instead of praising the Lord, right? Pleasant and friendly in her ways. So, okay, she's like nice. That's cutesy. That's expected. You should be, I guess, like nice if you're a nun. But I know traditionally nuns are expected to be very strict, right? Like she cares about being liked. So,
will the owner of a white Equinox,
don't they know I'm recording
license
videos?
plate number 98988T that's parked in the parking lot area in the back on the grass, please kindly remove your vehicle. Again, that's a white Equinox. License plate number 98988T, please kindly move your vehicle. Thank you.
Yeah, but why is she doing the most and being nice? Like trying to be all up in everybody's face instead of being like strict and traditional, right? And then right here it says, and straining to counterfeit a courtly kind of grace. If she is straining to counterfeit, what if I say somebody has counterfeit money? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Counterfeit money would be fake, right? And straining, that means like you're having a hard time doing something. So she is fake. She's having a fake courtly kind of grace. So courtly kind of grace, like fake with how she moves. A courtly kind of grace, like when you're part of like the church or you're part of like the king's close people, you're supposed to have like courtly behaviors, but it says that hers are counterfeit. So she ain't really doing nothing that she's doing from the heart. She's straining and trying hard, being a try hard. A stately bearing fitting to her place and seemed dignified in all her dealings. As for sympathy and tender feelings, she was so charitably solicitous. She used to weep, but if she saw a mouse caught in a trap, if it were dead or bleeding, if a mouse was caught in a trap, she would cry. I don't really feel like that is a good or a bad thing. I just feel like indifferent. So I'm going to highlight it and I'll write a note later because I'm not sure what we're going to say about it yet because we haven't finished. Like so far, we haven't seen anything about God, anything about religion, anything about prayer. Like, see none of that. So I'm going to highlight this for now. We'll come back and see what it ends up saying. And she had a little dog she would be feeding with roasted flesh or milk or fine white bread. So she feeds stray dogs to make sure they can not be starving. And bitterly she wept if one were dead. If one of these dogs died, she would cry. Or if someone took a stick and made it smart. Or if somebody beat the dog, she would cry. This isn't a bad thing. But yeah, we need to keep reading before we decide what we're going to say. She was all sentiment and tender heart. That sounds kind of nice too. Her veil was gathered in a seemly way. Her nose was elegant. Her eyes glass gray. Here are some red flags because remember, it said that she cares about how she looks, and you're not supposed to if you're a nun. So her veil was gathered in a seemly way. Like, you know how nuns wear like those things? If you're like, no, girl, I don't even know what a nun is. Here, let's look one up. Nun. This is what they wear. Okay. And it said her veil was gathered in a seemly way. So instead of her veil being normal, she put it in a different way to like either show more of her face or be stylish because they're like, it's a seemly way. Like she's wearing it a little weird. Her nose was elegant. Her eyes glass gray. Her mouth was very small, but soft and red. Okay, sexy. Like, why is she wearing red lipstick, huh? And this is her veil. So, trying to be cute with it. Her forehead was certainly a fair spread, almost a span, and by no means was she undergrown. So he's like, she ain't small. She kind of got a little body yaddy yaddy on her. But like, why can we see that? Was her gown too tight? Was her, you know, her stuff like squeezy up on her? Because it should be modest and hiding like any curves or body. But they can see that she is, ooh, she's not undergrown. That's crazy. Her cloak, I noticed, had a graceful charm. And then here, girl, why you got bling bling? You got a little charm? He's like, I noticed she got a little charm. She's not supposed to be out here rocking Apple watches and bling bling and chains. And like, she's supposed to be very modest, only wearing her religious gown, no extra stuff. So that's like weird. She wore a coral trinket on her arm. More stuff that gives money. Like she's supposed to be modest. A set of beads and gauze and tricked in green. Whence hung on a golden brooch of her brightest sheen, on which there was graven a crown and a lower, Amor vincit omnia, Latin for love conquers all. Oh! The Jezebel, the scandalous woman. So like, yeah, love conquers all. Okay. I'm gonna put that's a red flag because nuns are supposed to be vowed to chastity. So like, no sex, no marriage, no kids, and she over here wearing a little sneaky dink little charm, or it says it's engraved. So like on her jewelry, it says love conquers all. Right? He is pointing out that she's wearing things that give like, you're trying to get attention. And if he wanted, he as in Chaucer, if Chaucer wanted to point out that she was not into the bling, he would have said that she has a rosary, right? Or something that has a cross on it. He would have highlighted that she had these religious markings. So then we would have been like, oh, a rosary. Of course she has a rosary. But why she got love conquers all? What? Like, that doesn't make sense. So he's intentionally pointing out that she is lacking this. Lacking as in she don't got this. Instead, she got this stuff. Instead, she is no means undergrown. Instead, she got red lipstick. Instead, she is over here straining to counterfeit a courtly kind of grace. She being fake, right? So he points out all these things that she's not necessarily bad and she loves animals. But again, he's pointing out she's so in love with animals. If a mouse is caught in a trap, she cries. If a dog gets beat, she cries, right? But did it say she prays? It didn't say one thing in here about her praying. It didn't say one thing in here about her serving people of the church. It pointed out all these other things that she was into and left that out, which makes it seem like she cares more about her appearance, her place in society, being liked, having some cutesy looks about her, a little tighter gown, her little hood hat thingy bob, being like, right? So we only found this stuff out because we started with ChatGPT. Because I could have told you guys, hey, the nun is nice, like she's a nice lady, now go ahead and read it, and you would have been able to say that this was a good thing. We could have said that this was a good thing because I wouldn't have been reading it with the intention of saying like she's undergrown, being like, okay, body. I would have been like, oh, she's just like a bigger nun, right? So you see how using chat as a thought partner or using AI as a thought partner helps you pull out things that we would have missed without it. So boom, now we're doing the monk. Let's go ahead and come over here, back to our AI. And what did Chaucer say about the monk? A monk is someone who lived in a monastery dedicated to prayer and study, helping the poor. Ideally, a monk should be humble, avoid living a life of luxury. Instead of enjoying fancy things, they should focus on serving others and spending time in prayer. But in the Canterbury Tales, the monk Chaucer described doesn't follow this. He likes to hunt, he wears expensive clothes, and he doesn't seem too interested in following traditional rules. This shows how in Chaucer's time, some monks were more concerned with enjoying their best life instead of religious duties. Click back over. So right here, again, the monk, we're going to go ahead and add what ChatGPT is pointing out to us. So there's the first blurb. The second one says, a monk should live a simple, humble life, focus on prayer and helping others. Okay. So again, up at the top, AI tells us a monk should be XYZ, prayer, helping others, should be. Okay? But instead, this monk, let's highlight right here, hunts, wears expensive clothes, and doesn't seem to be interested in traditional rules. Okay, so AI also tells us this monk, he is modern, likes fancy stuff. He hunts. And hunting for a monk is definitely like, untraditional. More concerned with enjoying life and isn't interested in following traditional rules. So, isn't into following traditional rules / values. So when we're reading, we're going to look for this stuff. He should be praying. He should be helping others. But we know, thanks to thought partnership with AI, that this is what Chaucer's monk does. So as we go, we're going to highlight these things and try to find what Chaucer is making fun of. A monk there was, one of the finest sort, who rode the country. Hunting was his sport. Boom. There it is. He's hunting. A manly man. Boom. Why is he not praying? Amen. Hallelujah. Instead, he's hunting and being a manly man. To be an abbot at an able, many a dainty horse he had in the stable. He had a bunch of horses. That's not a common thing for workers of the church. His bridle when he rode, a man might hear, jingling and whistling, wind is clear. Aye, and as loud as does the chapel bell, where my lord monk was prior of the cell. Jingling and whistling is clear, loud as a chapel bell. So he's loud, he's rowdy, he's extra, he's hooting and hollering. Like, what are you doing, bro? Hooting and hollering. He is extra. Up here, he's hunting. He owns horses. He's a manly man. When my lord monk was prior of the cell, the rule of good Saint Bennet or Saint Mar, as old and strict, he tended to ignore. Old and strict, he tended to ignore. He let go by the things of yesterday and took to the modern world's more spacious way. It literally says he ignores the things of yesterday. He's like, y'all old school. I don't like it. And he ignores the rules. He did not rate that a text at plucked a hen, which says that hunters are not holy men. He did not rate that text at a plucked hen, which says that hunters are not holy men, and that a monk uncloistered is a mere fish out of water, flapping on the pier. That is to say, a monk is out of his cloister. Right here where it says he did not rate that text at plucked hen, which say hunters are not holy men, and that he's a fish out of water, he don't care. That he did not rate, he don't care what everybody else talking about. That says everybody. He don't care what everybody is talking about. He said, I don't care if y'all saying that monks aren't supposed to be hunters. I don't care if y'all say I'm a fish out of water and I'm different. I don't care. He's not even pretend like he cares. That was a text he held not worth an oyster. He said he could care less about it. He holds no worth to it. Cool, I'm glad you're saying that. Not my problem. I don't care. And I agreed and said his views were sound. Oh, look. And I agreed and said his views were sound. Who is I? Who is saying I agreed? Who is I? The narrator, you guys should know this because it was all over our Gimkit. The narrator is Chaucer, and Chaucer agrees with the monk. He's like, yeah, you could still be a man of God and be modern. Like, Chaucer agrees. So with this one, we got to come down here and put a question mark. Is Chaucer critiquing the monk? Critiquing? Or is he celebrating? Because he says that he agrees with him. So that's something we're going to have to think about later. Was he to study till his head went round, poring over books and cloisters? Must he toil as Austin bade till the very end of soil? Was he to leave the world upon the shelf, let Austin have his labor to himself? This monk was therefore a good man to horse. Greyhounds he had as swift as birds to course. Hunting a hare or riding a fence was all his fun. He spared for no expense. So this is talking about like his hobbies and hunting and all the stuff that he did, but he spared no expense. So that man was going to spend that money on fun stuff. He did not care that he's supposed to be doing whatever he's doing and donating to the church and helping the poor. He is dropping coins on greyhounds and birds and all his little hobbies. I saw his sleeves were garnished at the hand. With a fine gray fur, the finest in the land, and on his hood, to fasten at his chin, he had wrought gold cunningly fashioned pin, and to a lover's knot it seemed to pass. This is talking about how right here on his little his robe, he got big money, gray fur, ooh, little flex, little fur. Down here, he got some gold buttoning his thing right here. Like, okay, big money. Okay, big money. Last little part of the monk. His head was bald and shone like looking glass. So did his face, as if he had been greased. He was fat and a personable priest. If you were heavily set in the Middle Ages, they had money. The king and the queen were usually well fed, so it wasn't bad, because usually people who didn't have money, they were skinny because they were like starving. But look, it says he was fat and personable, so he eating good, not modest, right? Like he is living a life of luxury like the king and queen. His prominent eyeballs never seemed to settle. They glittered like flames beneath the kettle. Supple his boots, his horse in fine condition. He was a prelate fit for exhibition. He was not pale like a torment soul. He had a fat swan vest and roasted whole. His palfrey was as brown as berry. That's it. So based on what we're looking at right here, that man just like splurging and buying stuff. The friar is long. We're not reading the friar right now. We are going to write down this last little bit of notes. And tomorrow, you, by yourself, are going to look at our AI notes. And then you are going to go highlight the negative things that Chaucer has said about the friar. You're going to come through here and highlight the stuff. After today, we write the AI notes. So tomorrow you'll come back to this, look at the AI notes, and be like, let me find out what Chaucer's saying about this clown, okay? So how should this person act? The friar should be helping the poor and living a life of service, not taking advantage of anybody. So living a life of service, so serving the church, and giving to the poor. So helping people from the town, the city. Helping people like as the church. So like, oh, the friar's here. It would be like that the church is helping them. Okay, so this is how they should act. I'm trying to get my light to turn back on. Oh my gosh! So that's how the friar should act, according to Chaucer. Should be acting like that. And then we're going to go look at thought partnership with AI and see what they told us the friar actually out in these streets doing. The friar is like a traveling priest who goes out into the world to help people, especially the poor. Okay, I'm going to write that down. So his job is actually to travel around the world. This is my world. Boop. And help people. Like that is his whole job. The ideal friar must be kind, charitable, and genuinely concerned with helping other. However, the friar in the Canterbury Tales is very corrupt. Instead of helping the poor, he likes to take money from people and spend it on himself. He is supposed to be a humble servant of God, but he acts like someone who enjoys a good life at others' expenses. Okay, so instead, we find out this friar takes money from people. And when he's taking money from people, he's taking money from people from the church. You know, like people donate to the church, like, oh, here's some money so they can help with others. So he's taking money from people who already don't have money, that are being generous and trying to offer charity, and then spending the money on himself. So this friar takes money from people that was for the church, but spends it. Sneaky. And just so you know how I told you ChatGPT be playing around, or AI be playing around and giving us like bad half answers? Literally, my computer died. I'm so annoyed because I was almost done. Okay. What I was going to tell you is, even though AI told us this, AI be playing games, because I have read the Canterbury Tales 1,027 times, and it left out to me some of the most trifling things about the friar. So one, look in here. The friar kind of be like talking to girls, the young girls, old girls. Like there's little hints in here that he is sketchy and be using his position in the church to talk to people, specifically females. There's also another little spot in here. So like, let's scroll down. We know that he takes money from people, messing with girls, and he's not allowed to be out here flirting with people, messing with girls, talking to them, none of that. And he has something that he lies about that's in here. He tells a lie, and it doesn't directly say, oh, he lied, but inside of the text, it is going to at least hint or call him out, kind of. So tomorrow, you are going to look at these notes, right? And try to highlight information that the friar takes money from people, that he be messing with girls, and that he lies. That's what you'll find tomorrow in our annotations.